There we are. Here you go.
That is a nice. Should I bring them up a little bit closer there, bro? Aloha, everybody. There we go. Don't be okole puka COVID-19 Kauai, Hawaii. That is the that is the new design of Kirk Correa of Island Athletic Tees. That is the third design, and I think the last design. And once I get a good photo of that, we might have to take a picture, have your wife take a picture of you modeling that shirt. I'll get
Yeah,
that on the website. And
I shall. I shall.
actually, if you could have someone take a picture of you in all three shirts, Charles.
Huh?
Or maybe have someone take a picture of you in all three, three different pictures, and we'll have you be our model.
Okay.
So we can
Okay.
so we can go ahead and because I'm waiting for Kirk and he's not he hasn't sent me the pictures. So but then we'll put that website up live and let me hang on here. But that is a nice plain to the point design and
Yep.
I actually really like it. I actually really like it. Let's see. I'm
Lot
sure.
of guys from the mainland think that's a golfing shirt. They say
Yeah,
that
good.
looks like a golfing. Yeah, it looks like a hole in one.
Yeah, it is. There we go. Tyson Moises. Chee-hoo! Yeah. Here we go. Look 'em.
There
That's
you
the show
go.
y'all been waiting for.
Yeah.
That's the one. And it's in all kinds of colors, man. I was just telling Charlie, I had my demo shirt today and I had to go work at the office and I left it at the office. So I don't have mine to wear tonight, but I have one in red and green. One, you notice yours is blue for Waimea
I
High
get
School.
blue.
He brought me a
Yep, I
red
get
one.
blue and black.
Yeah.
Some,
So
pe-
I mean,
some people asking me to show again. There you go. A golfing shirt, Okole Puka. Okay. If anybody
so
asks you what is Okole Puka, just tell them this is what you wear on the golf course. That tells you hole in one. You got a hole in one.
yeah, thanks, Kurt Correa. We'll get
Yep.
that up on the website tomorrow, and you guys will be able to start placing your orders tomorrow on that. What shirt? Deborah Michioka is asking, what shirt? The shirt that Uncle Charlie is wearing. Don't be a Okole Puka. And if you've been one of our loyal fans every night, you know exactly what we're talking about.
And we got the other shirt. We got the other shirt where you stand by the airport and you wave, and you smile, and you get the shirt over here. Kakio. That means smile.
Yeah, I tell you right now, we sold between the two shirts that we already had, we had sold over 330 shirts. We will be making a donation, a contribution to the Hawaii Community Foundation probably next week for over $6,000. I did pick up the check today from our angel donor, Sandy. And she said she didn't want us to mention her name, but it was Sandy Howard, and she donated $1,000 to the cause. So thank you, Sandy, and thank you all, guys, every one of you for tuning in every night, joining us every single night. And we've been trying to cover issues and talking points. And I realized today, one of the areas that we really haven't discussed was business. So, and in fact, I'm gonna let in Mark Perriello. He's the president and CEO of the Kauai Chamber of Commerce.
Hello, Avon. Avon calling.
Yeah, it's so cute. I love that doorbell. I'm not sure why his screen is all black. There we go. Oh, unmute there. Ask to unmute. Okay, let me push that button. Mark, there we go.
Can you hear me?
Awesome.
Nice. Aloha.
Aloha. So everybody, I was just introducing you, Mark Perriello, the president and CEO of the Kauai Chamber of Commerce. Mark, and I was saying, we've been having every night we've had legislators, we've had senators, congress people, doctors,
I
we
know
had
this. Yeah.
lawyers. We've had a ton of resources focusing on COVID-19. And I realized today that I really we didn't bring anybody on from the business community. And then I came across your email today regarding the Young Brothers issue. And I thought, why not ask Mark to come on and talk about the importance of the shipping industry here to us on Kauai, as well as just what the heck is going on Kauai as far as business. We hear about it every day. We see slowly by slowly things are opening up, but a lot of businesses are struggling right now, suffering. We've lost some businesses that probably will not come back.
Mhm.
So I sorry for the last minute request, and I appreciate you changing your schedule and making yourself available. You know Uncle Charlie up there with the nice new shirt, don't be an okole puka.
I love it. Where'd you get that, Charlie?
Well, a good friend of ours that did all of our shirts, Mr. Kurt Correa, he
Okay.
put this together. So you can go to his website.
Ah,
This is for all you golfers out there. Don't be an okole puka.
nice. Nice. I love it. And Mel, I'm happy to be here with you guys tonight. When you gave me a call, I was like, why not? It's Friday night. What else I have to do? But anything for you. I really have appreciated knowing you during my time here. And it's been a short time, admittedly, on the island. But I always feel like you've been really fair to the chamber and a great member of the chamber you, as well. And Charlie, through your wife, Stephanie, do half of what we could do as an organization without her help.
Thank you. Yeah, she's on.
Thank
She's
you.
on tonight.
Thank you for your kind words, and thank you for your service as well on your short time on the chamber. What an impact! you've
Right.
made.
Yeah, it will be 5 years in August. Yeah.
Yes, this is a little more than a short time. So, but
Yeah.
relatively speaking, I guess.
Right. Yep.
Anyway, I'm going to turn this thing over to you, Mark, and talk a little bit about yourself, and then maybe we can start with the whole Young Brothers issue, and then we'll be fielding questions from the viewers, and we'll be
right.
dropping the questions as they come up. So the floor is
All
yours,
right.
my friend.
All right, that's the deal. So I don't have a script in front of me, so I'm just going to speak from the heart and see how it goes. So Mark Perriello, as Mel mentioned, I've been on island for about 5 years now, and I feel like the luckiest guy on earth that I get to be here, and that everyone has been so welcoming of me and my presence here on island. And I've been getting the chance to do some really good work through the Chamber of Commerce. And for folks who don't know about the Chamber, it's a business organization, an association of businesses on island. We have about 500 members, every employee of those 500 businesses is a part of the Chamber. So we have thousands of members. And we really focus on helping make sure that the businesses and through the businesses, the employees and everyone that they support is really able to be prosperous here on island. And that's what we do on a daily basis. And so when you hear about a business organization, I think a lot of people might sort of be nervous or think negative things about that. But from my perspective, we're in the business of helping people because when businesses succeed, that means employees are succeeding and the whole entire economy is moving the way that it needs to. And so no doubt with COVID-19, it's been a really difficult time for a lot of businesses. Most businesses, I would say, are really struggling right now. When it comes right down to it, and everyone knows this, we are so dependent on those tourist dollars to make everyone gainfully employed in order for businesses to be open and operating. And so from our perspective, we've been doing a lot of triage and a lot of support the past few months to help our member businesses, but also to help really any business that needs support. Because from my perspective, you do not need to be a chamber member in order to come ask for our assistance during this time, because we want to make sure that as many businesses make it through to the other side as possible. And so we have been doing, Zoom meeting after Zoom meeting after Zoom meeting with various experts so that, early on people could, we had a big meeting with almost 500 people. I think it was like 480 people with all of our elected officials, various health experts. And it was just a really good way to get information out. And since then, we've been connecting people with experts. We had, just recently a webinar on reopening and what does that look like. And so we had Janet Berryman, our district health director, on. And we also had John Knorik with Torkelson Katz, which is over in Honolulu. They're an employment law firm. And they were talking about the legal requirements that businesses have in order to protect their customers and their staff as they're thinking about reopening. And so we've been doing a lot of work like that. We have some interesting ones coming up. We have one on mindfulness and how to stay mindful during these difficult times, right? This is a stressful time for a lot of people, for all of us, right? Myself included. And so we want to really provide that type of expertise as well. One of the things that we've been really fortunate to have as a chamber, even before COVID-19, is a fantastic team. And so we have on staff, we have 3 people, myself, Carol Teixeira, and Anna Bodwin, and we do the day-to-day work. But we are supported by a fantastic board of directors, which is chaired right now by Michelle Imora. It's a 17-person board, and they are all rock stars to a person, and they really help us get our work done at the chamber. We have many volunteer committees that also support our work. And so when you think of this organization, right, like it really is people. That's what it's all about. It's about supporting each other, about a sense of belonging and connectedness that we really try to foster within the chamber. We just couldn't do it without the volunteer support that we have and without our members. And it's going to be a tough time for a lot of them. And it is a tough time. Some of them have closed at this point permanently. Others, I think, are struggling through. They were fortunate, some of them, to get that Paycheck Protection Program money. And that has helped a lot of them. For others, it wasn't the right thing, right? They refused that money because they didn't think it was going to be the right thing for their organization. There were other types of disaster loans. There was disaster loans through SBA, USDA. We really just sort of pumped that information out to our members as much as we could to make sure that they had the information available so that they could make the informed decisions about whether they wanted to apply for that type of money or not. But that money is going to run out pretty soon, right? It was an 8-week program. And so my hope is that the federal government will come through with an additional stimulus. I don't know whether that is likely or not. I think that, it's a tough call right now. It seems like there's people on all sides of that over in Washington, D.C. But I know that our Mayor Kawakami, is working right now to develop a grant program similar to the one that's over in Honolulu. And so hopefully that will be announced sometime in the next few weeks, and that will get a little bit more money out. When it comes right down to it, if you were to ask me my true honest opinion, these are Band-Aids on a massive wound. And we need to really, I think, consider how we reopen safely to tourism in order for the economy to really tick back up. Today the governor, or yesterday, I'm not sure which, my days are so busy, they were run together. He announced the extension of the quarantine, the 14-day quarantine through July. I think that where we are now, it probably makes sense from a health perspective, but if you were to talk to a lot of the businesses out there, even opening up to the local economy is going to be a challenge. If you're a restaurant, you can only seat 50% of your seats. Well, then you're making 50% of the money that you were making before COVID-19, more or less, right? And so those businesses are going to struggle to make ends meet until we sort of start to see some more folks arrive on our shores again. But we need to do it in a way that's safe. That's why I think I like Lieutenant Governor Green's approach to sort of opening up, maybe slowly looking at places where there are a lot of similarities to the infection rate here in Kauai, Australia, New Zealand, those types of places. Because in the absence of a vaccine, right, there's a risk that, the luck that we've had here on Kauai it will run out. And so we need to be careful. But, we need to balance that with the economy as well.
Yeah, I think that's been the focus of our discussions in the last week or so about how we know that we got to open. We all understand that we got to open, but we got to do it in a way that's going to ensure the safety of our people. And we talked about it just last night, I guess, or maybe the night before, about how we really got to focus our energies on how do we and how we make that happen. How do we ensure, whether it's through testing or I'm not sure what that is, but I mean, we know we got to get the people that do come, we got to kind of make sure that they're virus free.
Yeah.
And I really think that focus should be, they should be really working on that. I want to just take a real quick moment. Number one, to all agree with you. Your staff is fantastic. It's just amazing, just over the years. What all of you do for our community and for the businesses. And I tell you, the one thing we can do right now individually is support our local businesses, is support every single local business, buy local. I mean, everybody loves Costco, everybody loves Ross's or whatever, but whatever you can buy local, whatever we can do to help our small businesses, let's do it. And then before I go on as well, please share this, because there's a lot of people, some of you may be business owners or business owners. Share this so everyone can get the information out from Mark and from the chamber. And of course, we don't ever, I mean, it's our policy. Charlie can probably get pissed off, but it's our policy. We don't promote businesses or anything, but
Right.
If you are a small business, by golly, get in touch with the chamber, become a chamber member, and take advantage of the benefits. They're a loud voice at the legislature and at Congress. So
Thank you, Mel.
Oh, I mean, I know what you guys do. I've seen it firsthand, both at the Capitol here and at the Capitol in DC. I've seen you guys work. So if you stop by your website and the Chamber of Commerce Kauai website and get the information and get in touch with one of the guys there. So anyway, I didn't mean to interrupt. Young brothers. I'm sorry, Charlie.
Yep.
Go ahead, Charlie.
Yeah, I had a question. With the chamber and its positioning in the business community, I know that pre-COVID, things are going really good.
Mm-hmm.
COVID hits. This is the first time that anyone in this era can remember how simultaneously the entire state of Hawaii shuts down. Never happened before. I mean, every single island shut down at the same time. Bingo. The only thing different is how the islands are opening up from county to county and the time. I wanted to get your take on this, because now we're starting up. We're actually in a prehistoric time, right? To get where we are today, you got to go many generations back and roll up to where we are today. Because we're opening up from COVID, we're actually taking all that time that took many decades to get to this point, and we threw it out the window. We're basically starting from ground zero again. So what's your take of what's it going to be, or what you heard from businesses out there? Because I get the feeling that a lot of businesses are going like, okay, this is how we operate it. This is what we're going to do. We start. But they're not going to feel that effect of the jump that they were accustomed to, because everything is like prehistoric again. You got to start from someplace. What have you heard?
Yeah, so I've been talking to a lot of businesses, from people up in Hanalei all the way to folks over on the west side in Waimea. People are nervous when it comes right down to it. They are nervous about their businesses. They're nervous for their employees. They aren't quite sure how long this is going to last, right? And so they know that they can make it maybe this month or the next month. But what are they going to do to, make it 3 months, 4 months, if it goes to that, or if there's a second wave of virus that strikes next winter, they can't afford to go on lockdown, and probably our government can't afford to bail us out anymore. And so people are nervous, is what I'm hearing. But I think there's also a lot of creativity out there that is happening. I think is a really positive sign. And so, right, switching from, sales and in person, right, to online sales, and, trying to sort of recapture some of that market, because people can't come to Hawaii right now. Well, they can if they want to do a 14-day quarantine. But basically, people aren't coming here. But they love this place. They love this island. They love this state. And so, they want to support us and buy products that are made here locally. And so I think there's some folks that are doing creative things like that. There is, when it comes to restaurants, what Addison Bulasan is doing, Dr. Addison, I don't know if folks have seen, but he has a whole effort right now with live music where each night they're at a different restaurant, encouraging people to go there to pick up takeout, because that's what the restaurants can do right now until June 1, when they're actually allowed to open up again with social distancing and some other practices in place. And so, I hear a lot of people that are really starting to think outside the box. But I think that's where we're at right now, right? We're in that thinking outside the box phase. And I think some people are coming up with some great solutions, and others are starting to get there. But there's a lot of nervousness too.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I know some of the people are asking about the bubble, the Japan bubble, and I did speak with Senator Donovan De La Cruz, and he's going to be coming on next week to discuss that what the senators are trying. Paul Yonomine, part of that Hawaii Executive Collaborative, are working on this plan, and it's a great idea. Basically, a bubble, virus-free zone, a bubble zone between Hawaii and Japan, so that we can obviously just the virus-free passengers, they can travel to Hawaii in a virus-free environment.
Right.
Japan has a very good numbers as it relates. Their response were fantastic to COVID. So we'll have Donovan next week with Paul Yonomine to come on and explain it in detail. I'm not gonna try to explain it because it's I'm sure it's pretty complicated, but the idea is to create a bubble around Hawaii and Japan where people can travel freely, virus-free. So we'll get more info on that next week.
Yeah, so Mel, I didn't bring up Young Brothers yet, but you mentioned it twice so far, and I'm not avoiding the question at all. I just haven't got to it. So I don't know if folks have been paying attention. It's really just been within the past 2 days. But Young Brothers, who we are very dependent on here on Kauai for shipping, especially shipping smaller amounts of goods, right? Because they have basically what is called less than container load service, which is the pallets. And so you don't need to fill a whole container. You have to fill a whole container if you're shipping with Matson. They'll ship smaller things, refrigerators here, right? Like things that you aren't buying a whole entire container full of. And they have recently done two things. One is they have petitioned the state for $25 million of CARES Act money to help support their operations. And in the absence of that 25 million, they've petitioned the Public Utilities Commission to allow them to stop lighter than container load service to Kauai and the other neighbor islands. And let me tell you, the thing that comes to mind, right? But it's really like horrible is like, that's like the nail in the coffin, right? Like we are already struggling here. We are already doing our best to make it through this pandemic. And, if they stop this service, that's going to affect our manufacturers, our construction industry, the grocery stores, everyone, right, across the board. And the solution will be expensive in the absence of their service because people will have to shift to air freight, which is really expensive, or maybe they'll have to form some sort of co-op where people are, getting all of their things in bulk or sort of coordinating things so there is a container full, but that's easier for shipping out than for shipping in, right? So if you are Kauai Cookie, for example, all the boxes that they use to put their cookies in, they don't buy a whole container of that at once, right? And so the coordination of things coming from the mainland or other places to Kauai in order to support our manufacturers and other businesses is going to be an even bigger problem than shipping out. One of the dirty secrets of all of this is that Young Brothers is owned by a company on the mainland who also owns Aloha Air Freight. And so either way, this big company from the mainland is going to win, no matter what happens here. And so that's a little bit frustrating to know. But from our perspective at the Chamber, we are encouraging all of our members to write the PUC. It's just puc@hawaii.gov. Copy our state representatives and our state senator, our Senate president. Make sure that everyone knows how important this issue is. Because without that service from Young Brothers, they just don't know what would happen, right? Like everything from machine parts to, supplies that go to Home Depot, right? Like it will really affect everyone across the board. And they want to move pretty quickly. They're asking the PUC for them to be able to do this beginning June 8th, which is ridiculous because people already have scheduled pallets pickups and deliveries for after June 8th at this point. It's only a little over a week away. And so anything that people can do that are listening to influence our state government to give that $25 million to Young Brothers as a temporary fix. We cannot keep bailing them out. I don't think that we need to subsidize this industry, but we do need to do something in the short term to make sure that this service is continuing for our island.
Do they have an attached agreement that the 25 million, if it's used to bail out, that they secure the shipping lanes continue and not get the 25 million bailout and just say we're still going to continue with lowering the boom on Kauai? I mean, is it in writing?
I believe that it is in writing. I think that they have been very clear about the fact that they won't change their operations and their services if they get that 25 million. What happened just maybe a week ago or 2 weeks ago, though, is unbeknownst to a lot of people, because Kauai wasn't affected, they cut their service to Molokai from twice a week to once a week. They cut their service to Hilo from twice a week to once a week. And I was talking with Rob Stevenson over at the Chamber of Commerce on Molokai, and it's a disaster for them because what happens is their products come into Honolulu. They stay in Honolulu until the Young Brothers barge is ready to go to Molokai. And that could be 7 days. And so if you're waiting on a shipment of ice cream, right, that isn't, that they don't have the refrigeration space for in Honolulu, right? Like everything is getting there melted and they're having trouble, because they really need that twice a week shipment to make sure that the groceries are fresh and all of that. And so, the Young Brothers has been, I think, moving in this direction for some time. And we're lucky on Kauai that we still have the twice a week service. And we need to make sure that it's maintained.
Well, we talk about the new norm. So I think what you just said is, folks, get ready. We're going to start eating warm ice cream from now on because that's the only way that they're going to last on the docks for 1 week.
Right. Well, hopefully it doesn't come to that, Charlie, but yeah.
The collateral damage is, the larger distributors, the Costco's, they will have no problem sending over extra containers,
right,
to accommodate the reduced routes. But it's a small business again that's going to get screwed. It's a small business that cannot absorb that, and then again, it's just frustrating for small business. One of the questions was from Bill, and he asked if you can join the chamber as an individual member, and absolutely. Many, I'm not sure how many individual members you folks have. I'm an individual member. And again, if we can have that voice, that loud voice when we have issues like this, and these issues don't just happen during COVID pandemics, throughout the year,
true.
There's threats to small businesses every day at the state capitol and at Congress. So yes, Bill, you can. And again, check out their website.
Mel, let me ask Mark, because these things are happening so fast and people, you can't blame them because they're preoccupied with reopening. Some is still waiting for unemployment checks. They're just trying to get by and survive. And all of these things seems like it's happening in the background. Is there someone from your organization that's actually monitoring this to try to, keep us informed? Because until I saw this thing in your post, I didn't even know about it, and it sounds pretty darn scary. Sounds pretty darn scary if if they pull the trigger on this one.
So what I would say is that we have about 500 members, and that's about 500 eyes and ears that are paying attention to what's going on this island and throughout the state. And so we really rely on them in many instances to feed us the information so that we can respond. So I hope that she doesn't mind mentioning her name, but so it was Mary Lappert who first told me about what was happening with Young Brothers, and that was 2 nights ago. And so Young Brothers is a member of the chamber, actually. So we hopped on the phone with them the next morning, heard their side of the story, and then, we're an organization. So before I could act, I needed to talk to my board of directors and our government affairs committee. Did that, and then we got out the action alert as fast as we could. And so I would say that I monitor things as much as I can. Carol is, everyone knows Carol, and she's always on top of things as well. And so, but our members really feed us a lot of information because it's going to impact their businesses, and they know that the chamber can help.
Okay.
So we will be opening up Monday. A lot of our small businesses will be opening up. And I know you talked a little bit about the limited capacity may still not be enough. But in general, as far as your members are concerned, what percentage have we lost any businesses? I know we have, and I don't need to know names, but how many businesses do you estimate that have actually shut down for good because of this pandemic?
We don't have a hard and fast number, so I should start by saying that. People don't always, right? There's a place on the Chamber of Commerce website where you have to file that you're closing your business. But anecdotally, I would say, well, I hate this number, but I think that in the end, we'll probably lose between 20 and 25% of our businesses. I think a lot of people are really going to struggle. And I was thinking about this part of the conversation, Mel and Charlie, and I was tempted to say that we're going to keep 75%, which is really great. But 25% is it's a lot. It's a lot of people that will be out of work, a lot of vacancies in our commercial retail spaces. And I think what I worry about most is who fills the vacuum, right? Because right now it's, as you mentioned, Mel, right? It's the small businesses, it's the mom and pop shops, it's the family businesses that have been part of this island for generations, right? That are really going to struggle the most. And Costco and Safeway, they're going to be fine. But say a restaurant moves out of closes its doors in Lihue, who is the one with the money and the resources to move in? Well, it might not necessarily be another local chain. It might be the Olive Garden, right? And so I think that we need to be, and that will change the feel of this island if we let a lot of national chains come in and fill the vacuum. But I hope that we can avoid that situation somehow if we get there.
I'm not sure how many of our viewers watched the PBS special last night, the Insights special, and it was managing tourism was the topic, and they had people from all sides of the issue. You had representatives, legislators. We had one legislator. You had activists that are basically trying to preserve and protect natural resources. And then you had people from the visitor industry and the tourism industry, or I should say the hospitality industry, because we often say tourist industry, but yet it's the hospitality industry because it includes the restaurants, it includes the bars, it includes all of those that are used by both residents and visitors. But Chipper Wickman was on, and I'm not sure if you watched it last night.
I didn't get to see it.
I mean, if you haven't watched it, I suggest everyone go to the PBS website and watch the replay. Chipper made a very good point about the flooding in the North Shore back in 2018 and how the North Shore of Kauai was just overrun by tourism. And in fact, the resources were being depleted. the beach, locals couldn't even get to use their own beach because of the ridiculous amount of tourists. The parking was a mess. And then the storm came, and then the state basically limited the amount of visitors that can go to the beach. So while you had that segment of the guests that were all pro, they want everything open now, Chipper said, this is a reset, and this is where people now will got to figure out, and maybe we cannot limit the number of seats on an airplane, but we can definitely limit the number of rental cars on the road. We can forcing people to utilize public transportation or other means of transportation, again, boosting the local economy, and limiting the number of hotel rooms. And in his direction was on Oahu, not so much here, but on Oahu, there are hotels that have been approved, new hotels that are being approved for construction and operation. And Chipper is saying now is when you take the time out and say, hey, utilize the inventory that we have rather than having 10 hotels at 30%, or 15 hotels at 30%. Let's go down to 10 hotels that can be at 90%. And we can manage tourism that way. And I think that's kind of the new norm, is we cannot get rid of the tourists, but how are we going to manage them so we don't overwhelm the resources of our state. And that was an interesting discussion. It was you got to watch it. It's pretty interesting. And
Yeah, I'll check it out. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, I would assume you have hotels that are members of your chamber as well.
Oh, absolutely. And so is NTBG. So I'm embarrassed that I haven't had a chance to see Chipper yet on this special. But I think that even the hoteliers here on island know that we were at max capacity. I am on the Kauai Tourism Strategic Planning Committee that Sue Kanoho leads. And, one of the big things about that plan, like you would think that it's from the Kauai Visitors Bureau, it must be a marketing plan. It was all about over tourism, right? It was about how do we protect this valuable asset that we have and that we love so much, and share it appropriately, but not to the point where we're damaging the very thing that attracts people to come here. And so from my perspective, I don't know exactly how we're going to limit the volume and how that will happen. I think we have a lucky moment, though, that like in many ways to think about all of this and really re-envision how tourism looks on Kauai and what that is all about. And so I know that Sue Kanoho is working hard to sort of with the industry leaders to figure that out. I know, I don't know if I'm allowed to share this, but I will share this.
Yeah.
Remember the mayor put in place at the beginning of this, the $5 permit fee to use the beach and the $50 parking pass that you needed if you were a visitor. I would not be surprised, that's how I can say it, I would not be surprised if that stays in place or something very similar to it. So that if you're a tourist, you come here, you want to use the beach or a county park, a county beach, you need a permit. And there's only so many permits that are available. And those are the types of things that we have power over locally, that we have local jurisdiction on, that could really help manage the system.
Yeah, I was, and I didn't know Chipper was going to be on either. I was quite surprised and happy that he was. But one of the panelists was Representative Richard Onishi from Big Island, and the issues of the over tourism, the vacation rentals, all of that came up. And I mean, I was quite disappointed that he actually blamed the counties. He blamed the counties for the lack of management of the vacation rentals. And while he's I mean, there's some truth to that. I mean, we have, and I'm not just talking about Kauai, but statewide, we've kind of lost track, and enforcement hasn't always been there, and it's out of control right now. But, and Mark, I know you know this, for many years, we were trying to get the state to pass that amortization bill where the counties could end the TVR use of a property when the property is sold. Basically, the TVR approval or your TVR permit is only good for the duration of the ownership of that property. And when you sell that right disappears. And the state has refused every year. to give the counties that amortization law. So I was disappointed that he put it all on the counties, because it's not all the counties' fault. Yes,
No, it's not.
but the state stood in the way. With that amortization, we could get rid of a lot of TVRs, especially those that are outside of the VDA that are getting those non-conforming use permits renewed. Once you sell the property, bingo, bye-bye. Property value was dropped, TVR abuse would drop, and I'm hoping that the legislature in the next session will take a hard look at that again, because we are in that reset period. Yes, we got still a lot of illegal TVRs, but they have an opportunity to do a lot of good things to take care of that, and I'm hoping that they follow through.
You know, I did want to say that for you, Mark, you know, as we was talking earlier about this whole thing with young brothers and so forth, moving up to where we are now with the TVRs, you know, it reminds me so much about Aloha and Hawaiian and Aloha. Once one goes out, then the monopoly starts. That's when the whole monopolization starts. And, you know, you don't hear one thing about our friends Matson or Pasha jumping in and say, you know what, we'll pick up the load if YB goes out. Okay. So that kind of puts a void in that area. But what I do see is everything that we're attributing to our economy has this domino effect that starts with tourism. So we got to go right back to that basis and ask ourselves, okay, we want the tourists, but how do we make it safe? There's so many ideas, and, you know, Mel and I have been talking about this all the time, but somebody on high got to make the decision, stand their ground and pull the trigger and do it. But nobody wants to do it right now.
Right. You know what? They have been talking, like the time for recommendations is over, right? Like someone needs to pull the trigger. Someone needs to make a decision, because for me personally, this is not the chamber's position. I haven't had a chance to talk with my leadership about it, but I was disappointed that, you know, we don't have something in place so that on July 1, we can have tourists come back to our island safely, to protect our residents, to protect them. That's just kicking the can, right? And so are they going to kick the can in August? Are they going to kick the can in September because they can't get the decisions made and the logistics arranged? That would be really disappointing.
Well, you know, when the governor announced the extension of the quarantine, I did see how people reacted to it, because everyone, just from the comments, is asking, who the hell on his team is making these kind of recommendations for him to buy off on it? And if, you know, a good leader will say, you know, the buck stops with me, it falls on my head. Okay, fine. But, you know, if you have this constant messaging that doesn't make sense, then I don't think you're even in a position to say the buck stops with you. You know, something's happening up there. And like for Mel and I, we just try to bring the information forward and let the people do what they want to do with the information. But sometimes the information that we get is so mind-boggling that it leaves this big bubble ready for someone stand on the side with the pin, go, hey, let me pop that baby just one time. And what we're trying to do is we're trying to get ourselves jump-started into getting back on our feet. And I think right now, everything is so scattered that nobody, you know, as a business, if I had a business, yeah, I'd be worrying about my business. Today, I went to see a friend. He says that if he can't lower his rent, even though he already got concessions, he's got to shut down because he's in the restaurant business, right? You said, and everybody knows this, when a capacity is cut in half, you just cannot take 50% and cut it in half. And that means you're going to stay in business at a loss. I don't know how many people want to do that.
Right.
So these kind of things is, I just wanted to get off my chest. Thank you very much.
Well, the other thing that will happen, Charlie, I think, is we're going to see a lot of businesses for sale. That a lot of people will, I think that could happen, right? And so, you know, rather than shut down, right, you know, they'll find an investor who can weather this storm and sink the money into the business for brighter times in the future. But I think that's the other route. Rather than close, we'll start to see people selling.
Well, you know, I've heard this over and over again, you know, in the building industry. When I first moved to Kauai, and they said that, boy, Kauai was really a hard place to do business. And I said, well, it cannot be that bad because, but then, everybody has a different way of operating, right? So maybe the way the operation runs might be difficult. But you kind of hear these kind of comments surfacing more and more from, businesses that, man, they're finding it really hard. And, and that scares me a little, but I'm pretty sure our mayor and the administration has a real good monitor on the pulse that's happening here locally. But I think what we're faced with now, it's a whipsaw effect through every single island in the state. It's not only Kauai. And the thing will just continually go around like a domino, falling down every single time, keep on going around until, like we said before, until somebody high on up decides to stop the madness and say, you know what? We take the good or the bad. We're going to do this. Okay, fine. Yeah, I can live with that. Yep. But right now, when everybody got that iffy position, tell me how much ifs you need to go buy one loaf of bread. You tell a person who has no money that, hey, go in there, go buy a loaf of bread for 2 ifs. And they're going to give you an answer like, yeah, but am I going to get any buts in return? You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So those are the kind of things that it's gonna affect us all. And I think, by you coming on tonight, kind of gives us an idea of how your members are thinking. Because,
it's true.
We're all in this together.
We are all in this together. And the if question is the most frustrating thing to my members right now, right? Like, they can't plan appropriately, right? And so I think that we are lucky here on Kauai because there's a little bit more clarity than there is maybe over on Oahu and other places. But ultimately, right, businesses, if they get to reopen, they need to plan. They need to hire staff back. There's a lot of steps. And so if you tell everyone on Friday that you can open on Monday, that's sort of a disservice. And so the real thing that needs to happen is exactly what you're saying, is there needs to be a plan. I think we're getting closer to that time, but until there's something more concrete in place and we can find a way to lift that 14-day quarantine and do it safely, people are going to struggle. There just isn't enough. There's only 70 some odd thousand of us here on Kauai that live here. And that's not enough to support all the restaurants. It's not enough to support all the small businesses. And so we really do need that plan.
Yeah, well, it's just tough to do business in Hawaii, and it's every island, and it's I know as a former small business owner, I mean the state regulation and the taxing and all of the requirements, it makes it very, very difficult. And if you're a service oriented business like mine was, where you're trading hours for dollars, it's difficult to make ends meet, to get cash flow in and pay out all your taxes and your insurances and all your requirements from the state. It's tough. I just want to read this post from Randall Francisco that he just posted. Unfortunately, 3 businesses that were about to sell had the transaction canceled due to the virus and shutdowns. Also in Hanapepe, 3 businesses just closed. So I think, we're gonna struggle through this. And I go back to saying that we as individuals can help, and maybe we cannot solve all the problems, but if we go out and patronize our small business and our restaurants, because once tourists start coming, if the public isn't comfortable, if our residents aren't comfortable, then they're not going to go to restaurants either. They're not going to want to go anywhere that may be contaminated or dangerous to go to. So it's a tough balance that we got to find, and it needs to be done, or the economy of our island, in fact across the state, is going to get devastated. We're pretty close already.
I agree. I think it is going to be tough. But if I can shift gears for just a second, one of the things that it was your wife Stephanie Iona had a post on Facebook, and I forget the beginning of it, but it said, when it's dark out, look for the stars. And this is a pretty dark time, but there are a lot of stars out there. What Stephanie is doing out on the west side to feed people is so important and impressive. We just talked the other day with Chip Behuth, who runs the Sheraton Kauai. Poipu, I'm sorry. They fed over 7,000 people so far. And so there's a lot of people doing a lot of work to help folks right now while they're in this difficult time. And to me, that's what Kauai is all about. It's, how do we come together to support each other during this time? I think is just as important is how do we wait for our government to help support us as well? Because I think that we're going to really need to look around at who's here and how do we support each other? How do we get people employed in the absence of tourism? There has to be a solution. I think there's smart people thinking about it right now, but it's a big question because, for generations, right, tourism has been the thing that has been one of the things that's been keeping the economy going, especially since the plantation days.
With the way the shutdown came, everything shut down at once. Do you think it would have made sense the same way we're opening up business that we should have shut down the same way instead of shutting down all at once, shut down in phases?
I don't know. I don't know what the impact of that would have been, quite honestly. I think that in many ways we did do some phases, right? Like we went from curfew to stay at home. I guess that was a pretty quick phase, wasn't it? But yeah, I don't know. Yeah, it's a great question, Charlie. One that I do not have the answer to.
Because, anytime we do something to alleviate pressure from one side, you try to shift it to the other and you work your way through. So if you want to accomplish something, you can accomplish it across the board without taking everything down. Because what we did is we took everything down one time. All your members got taken down one time.
Yep.
But all your members are not starting up all together. They're starting up at different times. So the ones that really need the help probably going to get caught on the back end. And some of them is like they're basically swimming upriver and they're getting close to that waterfall. And if they can't make it to that finish line, they're going to go over the edge. That's what I'm afraid of.
Yeah, no, I think there's a lot of potential for that. It's the challenge on the table, right? Is how do we open back up and how do we get these businesses going? Because one of the things we haven't talked about is unemployment. And, it might surprise you, right? Because we represent businesses and unemployment is really about employees. That has been one of the top issues that we have been fighting about for the past couple of months is really getting the Department of Labor and Industrial Relations to step up and get people who have legitimate unemployment claims the money that they're entitled to. When it comes right down to it, it's become acceptable for people to go to the unemployment website and sit there for hours and try and get their applications in. You should only have to go one time. It should be your first time you go that you should be able to file your claim. And as recently as this week, people are telling me they're still spending hours trying to file claims. And I know that the government has had to make choices about what they fund and what they don't fund. But when it comes to the people of Kauai and the people of the state who need food on their plates and they need to feed their families, that should be their top priority.
Well, today, I don't know if you heard the news. I'm pretty sure you did hear the news. They gave us the bad news that the unemployment because of now hackers from abroad causes a bigger delay now in the system.
Oh, I did not hear that yet.
Yeah, it came out. It came on in the 6 o'clock news. So I'm like, what? Now the system got penetrated, got hacked. I mean, they're taking people's information and filing bogus claims. Oh. So we're looking at numbers that, from what the Secret Service has revealed and what the feds have revealed is that maybe the numbers are inflated on the claims end because of all these hacks that's been coming in. It might be increasing the claims that's being asked. So until we can get to the bottom of that, I'm just wondering if they're still able to manage getting the checks out without having to stop the presses because of this problem.
Yeah, wow, that's a big problem. Maybe that's one of the reasons people can't get into the site is it's being bombarded by hackers. I had a chance to, I don't know. Yeah, I'm just, who knows? But one of the things I do want to give a shout out to is Nadine Nakamura, who called me the other day. And we were chit-chatting about Young Brothers, actually. I shouldn't say chit-chatting. We were strategizing about Young Brothers. And you know where she was? She was at the unemployment office answering phones. Yeah, right. Like, because she was rolling up her sleeves to help with what they needed to get done over there. But sort of says something too when your state representative needs to help man the phones at your unemployment office.
Wow.
I guess, and I remember when this thing came out, they said, hey, we're gonna waive the 1 week waiting period, and everybody was excited that, yeah, I lost my job for now, but at least I won't have to wait a week to get the check. And I'm with you, Mark. It's not, you shouldn't. 2000, I saw somebody post today, it was the 2000th call that went unanswered today. 2000. Wow. I guess he's keeping track. I had a call today from a very good friend that went to apply for the PUA, the gig workers, the PUA loan. And they said, sorry, this social security number was already used to file a claim. Again, when we talk about all of these unemployed people, and while I appreciate all those volunteers that are at the state, California hired 600 people in one town, in one community. They hired 600 people to help process claims. Yeah, it costs money. Mm-hmm. It costs money. We didn't do that. We for a long time until the legislature, the Senate really put the pressure on DLIR, on the Labor and Industrial Relations. That's when they started looking for alternatives in the convention center and bringing in so-called volunteers. But I just see posts right now, and it's posted, but I'm not going to mention the name. My wife is still waiting for hers. My wife is still waiting for her check. Wait, I just saw it here. A good friend of mine has been waiting for months. She has till the 10th. After that, she has nothing, $0. So while it's admirable what they're trying to do, it's not acceptable. My daughter lives in Beaverton, Oregon. They have state unemployment just like we do. They have a much larger state. They have a much larger amount of claims. She had her check right away and the $600 a week addition. So I mean, like I said, while I can appreciate the effort, it's not acceptable when you expect a resident, a person that's been contributing into that system, and the employers who've been contributing into that system, to be told, we're getting it. I got to tell you, to me, it's not acceptable. It's not acceptable. And you can make up all the excuses about old software or hardware, whatever the hell, I don't care. You fix it, and you fix it within in the time necessary, right? So that these people could get their damn paychecks. Yeah. People gotta eat. And that's, so okay. I just needed to get off my.
No, that's all right. The Kauai Chamber, actually, we coordinated a letter on behalf of all of the chambers across the state to Scott Murakami, who directs DLIR, really pushing on this issue. We haven't heard back yet, which is disappointing. We're still waiting for Scott to respond.
We're trying to get him on our show, but he just, I just, and he's a great guy. I mean, I don't know him personally, but I've watched many of his interviews, and he's on the hottest seat in the state right now. He really is, and he's trying, but he cannot create miracles. But I question, did we have an opportunity to contract out that service? Was there a way that we could have hired a private firm, an IT firm, that could have put together a form with the necessary cloud space, server space, whatever the hell is needed to process these claims? I believe they could. I believe that there are companies out there that would, yes, it would cost money. Mm-hmm. But how do you put a value on a family that doesn't know where the hell their next paycheck, or they don't have a paycheck, waiting in an hour line to get food? And I'm not just talking about Kauai. This thing is across the state. It bothers me, and
it's legitimate to bother. It keeps me up at night, honestly, right? Like, people, there's just no excuse, right? Like there really isn't at this point. We're approaching 3 months in the middle of June, right? It'll be 3 months since things started to shut down. That's a long time, right? Like that's a long time to fix this problem.
And we know all the banks and the credit cards and the car loans are deferring your payments. You still got to pay that back. People are getting deeper in a hole, and that's, you know, so it's just a multitude of issues. And the PPP program, yeah, you know, I know people that was able to keep their employees working. If not for the PPP, those people would have all been laid off.
Yep.
And still waiting for their unemployment check. So, you know, but how long does all of this stuff last? How long, when will this thing be over? You know, God only knows. And, you know, we went through this exercise during Hurricane Iniki, and I've said this numerous times. I don't feel the same sense of unity as we did back then, and I could be wrong, but that's what we got to go back to. You know, we got to get back to that place that everybody helped everybody.
Yep.
And we cannot wait for, you know, in the case of hurricane, I mean, gosh, that physically destroyed, physically. So structures were not there, people were not working, but you know, we got through that, and we got through it quite well. And we got to get back to that space. We got to find it in each of ourselves to get back to that space. And
right,
because this is going to be longer than I think people want to wait. I believe that.
yeah.
Hey, Mark, let me ask you something on, you know, you talked a little earlier about the planning and execution phase of reopening. Okay. Has your organization like compiled numbers? You know, what would it average business, not a big business like a Macy's, but not a small business like a mom and pop, but right in the middle of the road business? What would it take from the time they plan to reopen until such time they go into operation? Are we talking like weeks, months?
Oh no, probably weeks is my guess for a middle of the road operation. You know, because you need some supplies, right? So you need to have adequate supplies of sanitizer. You need to have masks for your employees and your customers if they don't have them. And so to me, getting those supplies is probably weeks. And I think that's on the long side. I think for some businesses that are already planning, right, they've already sort of stocked up on some of these supplies, and so they're more ready to reopen. But even at the chamber, right, we have 3 people. We need to get sanitizer for anyone who walks in the door. We need to have cleaning supplies to make sure we're wiping down everything regularly. We need to set up the office space for social distancing. And so all of that is going to take us probably a week and a half or 2 weeks to get set. And even then, I don't know personally whether it makes sense for an organization like ours to be back in the office yet. You know, we don't get a lot of foot traffic, quite honestly, at the chamber. And so most of our work is done over the phone and email and whatnot. But it would take us a little bit of time to get up and running. For a bigger organization, say you've laid people off or furloughed people, you know, onboarding all those people again, right? Like that's going to take time as well. And so, you know, it's one of those things that is a real challenge. You know, if there's one thing I would advise businesses to do right now, and it goes to Mel's point, is, you know, we don't know how long this is going to last. Keeping as much cash in your reserves as possible is a really important thing right now, because, you know, we don't know if this is going to be August or if it's going to be later than that. And so cash is going to be really important as time goes on. And so I would encourage businesses to be doing things like renegotiating your leases, looking at your insurance policies and renegotiating those. Anything you can do to hang on to your cash is really important as a business.
Okay. Well, I do want to say, and I know Mel, we talked about promoting a company, but you had made mention about sanitizers and so forth. I wanted to give a shout out to Bob Gunter and his crew over at Color Rum for having that FDA approved recipe of sanitizers and giving the approval to make hand sanitizers, because I know it's still hard to get them brought in. But over at Color Rum, folks, if your operation needs hand sanitizer, his is FDA approved. He went through all the clearances and they're producing it regularly. You just got to go on their website, and I believe it's on their website. There's a little section called Unforgettable, and you got to tap on that. And then what you do is you can order from there, pay for it, and then they'll direct you to where to go and pick it up. And they have different sizes. So for those of your members that get hard time getting sanitizers, you can go and you can patronize Color Rum, locally made here on Kauai and approved.
Yep.
Smells just like vodka.
It does not taste like vodka. Oh wait, I don't know.
I didn't taste it. But I can tell you,
Right.
and again, it's we all, I know, and I see some posts about it. Waipoli Courtyards, all of the residents there, and we know the story about Waipoli Courtyards. That was the affordable housing project that ran out of time, and the state and the county failed to purchase. So now it's, the intent was it was going to be converted over to vacation rentals, which is legal there because it's in the visitor destination area. But no more vacation rentals now. But unfortunately, all their residents got a letter of increases in rent starting August 1. That's the kind of activity that cannot happen in Hawaii, on Kauai. And I feel for those families who are already struggling, and it's it's a significant increase. And those are the kinds of things that's just going to make it more difficult, and put way more stress on people. And understand everybody got bills to pay, but we gotta take care each. It goes back to what I was just saying about what I don't feel the same type of unity we did back then after Hurricane Iniki.
What do you think the difference is?
I don't know. I mean, I think everybody, Iniki was Kauai. It was just Kauai.
Yeah.
So a lot of businesses and people were able to absorb the losses on Kauai because of operations elsewhere. But here it's the whole state. Everybody's done.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, I'm just saying that to go after that segment of the community, the affordable housing segment of the community. Yes, we understand the time frame is done. Yes, we understand all of that. But now is not the time to be raising rents. Now is not the time to be. In fact, I thought there was a rent freeze. I gotta contact the governor's office, but evicting people now. I realize people get rights, landlords have rights, but this again, the mindset of helping each other is where we gotta go.
Absolutely.
We are not gonna get through this. We're not gonna get through this. But anyway, Mark, we went over time. I apologize.
It's all right.
But I want to give you an opportunity to share whatever you want, your contact information, website, whatever you want with the people, and a message to all the businesses out there that are suffering. I mean, whatever, you go for it.
All right. Well, Mel, Charlie, thank you for your time tonight. It was really an honor to participate in this. You two have been doing a lot of great work to keep the community informed, and it's grassroots, and I love it, and I'm grateful for the time. If people want to get in touch with me, my email is mark@kawaichamber.org. Feel free to email me about anything. If I can help, I will. If I can't, I'll find someone who can. Our website is kawaichamber.org. Feel free to visit it. We're actually in the middle of revamping our website. So when you get there, please don't judge us based on the website. We'll have a new one in short order. I want to thank my team, Carol and Anna, and all of our members. And for the businesses out there, right? Stay strong. We're going to get through this, and it might be a long, arduous journey, but we're in it together, and we're going to help however we can. And so thanks again, guys. Really appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Mark.
All right. Aloha.
Your staff, in fact, I got to pay my dues.
No.
I got to pay my dues. But, you guys do good. I mean, the chamber is a great organization. If you're in business, you should be in a chamber. That's just all I'm going to say, because you need that advocacy group up there, and you guys all have done a great job. A couple of announcements. Charlie's shirt. Mark, I don't know if you know, but we started this program a couple months ago, and Kirk Correa of Island Athletic Tees came up with, he said, Mel, we should make a t-shirt. You know, you have a picture of you and Charlie. I said, for what? He said, we'll put him on a t-shirt. People can buy his shirt. I said, nobody's going to buy that shirt. So he came up with this shirt, the Mel and Charlie show, Flatten the Curve.
Nice.
Over 100 shirts. And then when the mayor was on, the mayor was having a wonderful time. It was towards the end of the show, and the mayor slipped out the term "doodle boy." Way back when we were all of us were in young days. I don't know if it was a Hawaii thing or not, but you know, the doodle boy was the guy that nobody wanted to be around because he did something stupid or whatever. And that came out, and all of a sudden, hey, make a doodle boy shirt. So if you look behind Charlie, you see the doodle boy shirt hanging.
Oh yeah.
Don't, in the front is this. This is the front. Don't be a. And the back it says doodle boy.
Doodle boy.
And then
Doodle boy.
there's all the phrases that were created since the COVID years. No protesting. Kauai is on vacation.
I love
Stay
it.
at home. So that shirt, we sold over 200 shirts. So we've sold over 300 shirts. Now, the first shirt was $10. The second shirt was 15. All proceeds, Kirk donated everything. Shirt, labor, printing. All the proceeds go to Hawaii Community Foundation.
Oh, that's great.
So
I need to get mine. Is it too late?
it's not.
Tell me how I can get them.
Yeah, I will tell you in a minute. This
All
is the third shirt, unleashed or unveiled today. Don't be a okole uka. We had Tina Yamake. You know Tina Yamake from the Retail Merchants of Hawaii?
Mhm.
She came out. She used that phrase, okole puka. Of course, everybody said, "Oh, we need another shirt." So Kirk, that's brand new today. It came out today. So the website will be up tomorrow with all the shirts. You can purchase it online, and we appreciate everybody patronizing that effort. And what a run! But anyway, Charles, any closing comments before we head off?
Well, first of all, I'd like to say thank you to Mark. Thank you very, very much. It's always a pleasure working with you, and you know the ideas you have to share along with being the leader of the chamber here on Kauai. Thank you so much. Again, I'd like to tell all the folks out there, if you need to get hand sanitizers and you're still having a hard time, you know, go on the website to Kaloa Rum, and you hit up Bob Gunther and his group. They have FDA approved sanitizers. They have they're giving the green light to make it up here, and they make so much gallons of it. So there's a lot on stock if you need that. Lastly, you know, I tried to get Dr. Tripkovsky from Waikiki Doctors of Hawaii to get on, because they're doing a real heavy push for frontline workers on the antibody testing for COVID. And it's the program is pretty successful on Oahu. So, you know, we're going to keep on trying to see if we can get him on and let him, you know, put in his 2 cents with what they're doing there. Last but not least, I'd like to take this opportunity to thank Kirk Correa for Okole Puka. And if for those of you that don't know what that means, it means hole in one for all you golfers. He's hole in one for all you golfers. So, but I just want to tell Kirk, thank you very much. And last but not least, you know, I never told this guy this, but I am so happy that I have a partner that asked me to come on the show with him, and that's Mr. Mel Raposo, because without him, we wouldn't be having the information we have. So thank you, Brother Mel.
Of course, man. Thank you. Thank you. You made it real. Yeah, plus, I mean, I wouldn't know what to say. See, I'm a very shy guy. And
Yeah.
I mean, I need a haircut. I see a lot of people are making comments about my hair, but I will. I'm gonna, as soon as the line of Ikeros goes down, I'm gonna go
There you go.
cut my hair. Oh man, I forgot my ukulele. That's all right, Charles. See, we leave the show every night with this wonderful song that Charlie wrote. Charlie wrote this right when we first started. It was because no one wanted to help flatten the curve. You know, we tried. The whole purpose of this was to get people to stay home, don't touch your face, wash your hands, practice social distancing. Nobody paid attention. So Charlie and I went to see the chief of police. We said, "Hey, chief, deputize us. We'll go out and we'll be COVID agents. We'll go arrest these guys, and you'll be forced to stay with us for 24 hours straight." And that didn't work. So Charlie wrote this song, and we sing this song every night as we sign off. Because if people don't want to flatten the curve, then we will flatten your ears. Ready, Joe?
Hi.
Thank you, everybody. We love you guys. God bless. Thank you, Mark and the chamber. We'll see you guys tomorrow night at 7 o'clock. Aloha. God bless. We love you.
Aloha.
Aloha.